Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing lady that I have been in contact with recently, and I think she has a very amazing message, and I love how she shows up in the world. Without further ado, Tiffany Roper, thank you for being here. Did I say your name correctly, Tiffany?
You did, and
Awesome.
thanks for having me, Dr. L. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. I'm very excited to have you here. Tiffany, tell us a little bit more about what you do and why this topic should be on every parent's radar, basically, and then we can go from there.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. So what I do, I really focus on helping moms. I target more moms of young daughters, specifically because I really want moms to get on their own to-do list, start hitting their own goals. As moms, we're often either not on our own to-do list or the last thing that we focus on because we're so busy taking care of everybody else. And so I really want moms to be able to understand their real goals, values, great scheduling tips, their correct mindset, creating great habits and that kind of stuff, so they can really live a more fulfilling life. And in doing so, they then are amazing moms and role models for their young daughters. And why I focus on young daughters is because I really think it's important in this world for us to have a lot more outstanding female leaders of tomorrow. And as moms, we really have to start with ourselves in order to be those role models for our girls. So I want to make sure our moms are getting the support that they need to hit the goals that they want, to be the outstanding moms they always wanted to be, but frankly, they're just exhausted. And especially after, things like the pandemic and stuff, where moms even had to take on more, obligations and more responsibilities, it's just been even more daunting for moms to really be able to focus on themselves. And I really think it's time. And, the younger we can, the earlier we can do it with girls before they become teenagers and it becomes even, harder to reach them, the better. And so we can't preach to our kids. We've got to be able to show them by doing it ourselves.
Absolutely. You're sharing one of the core messages of Role Model Maker, which is, how to serve your family beyond just serving your family, which is important. And especially women are always so giving and they always put themselves last when it comes to matters of, life. So they put their career second, they put their wants and needs second. And then it's always give to the family, give to the family. And then the last thing you know, there's no time left, you're spent and out of energy, and you've spent a decade or two of your life and you're wondering, who am I and what do I have now that kids are leaving, and you become an empty nester in that process. So Tiffany, how does this topic relate to you? Tell us a little bit more about your personal story and how you came to really work on this.
Yeah, so I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations. I was pregnant and lost a boy and girl that I was pregnant with at 20 weeks out of complete nowhere. Got pregnant again the next year with my beautiful twin daughters, and they are 9 now. And in that same pregnancy, I lost my dad, who was my rock. So I'd gone through a whole lot. And, being a mom was what I wanted since I was a little girl. And so is really hard to have, gone through so much in a short span of time. And then once my girls were 2 days old, I found out I had heart failure. And they originally said I probably wouldn't, live 5 years without needing a heart transplant. And then average lifespan after that was about 5 years. So I thought, wow, I've gone through all of this. We tried to have kids for 6 years before success. And now I might not live until they're 10. So it was really daunting just trying to get my head wrapped around all of that, heal, and then figure out what I really wanted to have for my daughters, especially if I wasn't going to be around. So, good ending to the story is my ejection fraction's, a lot better than it was. And so potentially I could have a regular life. But of course, just depends on how that goes, because your heart can get worse every year as you just get older. So, I'm really just wanting to be fulfilled. And I think everybody kind of really thought again about what's fulfilling me after something like the pandemic. And I think we had more thinking time. And I was like, am I where I want to be? And I've got, 20 years of project management experience. I'm used to leading teams and having, crazy deadlines that you have to get done quickly. I'm used to juggling 20 things in the air at the same time. And I always had people going, how are you doing all of that at the same time? And a lot of it was because I was used to doing it at work. And I was like, well, moms really need support right now. They're lost more than ever. And also because of that, the families are breaking apart more. I think over the years, men have maybe lost their place on, they used to be the breadwinners in the 50s. And now, the moms have been able to do that too in a lot of cases. And I think they've kind of lost their way. And how am I here to serve the family? Because of course they want to serve their family, but maybe they don't know how. So then they focus on, I'll play video games, I'll go to the bar with my buddies, I'll go on hunting trips, I'll whatever. And, with the extra responsibilities moms got during the pandemic, often moms, I think it just became a whole lot. And now depression, suicide, that kind of stuff is even up more now for moms, but it's also up for our kids. And it's just so important for us to be able to get something back. And you can't keep giving from a cup that's empty. And so that's why I feel like we really have to start with the moms. I, of course, want at the end of it, my mission is to have strong female leaders, but you can't do that unless we are first. And so I really want the moms to be able to focus on themselves and to realize they're not alone. There's a community out there I want to build, and, you can have that support, and there is a better way. It doesn't have to be how it is now where you feel so alone and everything's on your shoulders. And so I just want to support them and help them find that better way, as I've had to do, and what I've done in raising leaders, because it starts so young as far as I'm concerned, raising leaders, of tomorrow in my own daughters.
Tiffiny, your story is quite inspirational and amazing, and your message is powerful. And I definitely think that I definitely resonate with it. One of the things when I was actually reaching out to parents during the pandemic, I asked them, what do you want for yourself, for your kids? Usually the answer was that I want my kids to lead a happy and full life, which I think is every parent's wish. And then on the other end of it, I think as a parent, we also want to make sure that we leave this world a better place for our children. And the core of everything that you're talking about is exactly goes to address both of those, basically. And leading by example definitely is the best way to go about this. So kudos to you, hats off to you for doing that. And I'm very glad that our parents are getting to hear this. So when parents are coming to you looking for answers, or they're confused, moms that are overburdened with wearing so many different hats, what are some of the typical challenges that you see that they need to overcome in order to be able to start making these changes?
Well, the biggest thing that I get from moms, which is part of, I've got a 6-week course that even help moms to get on their own to-do list. And it focuses on really understanding what goals you have, because moms are like, goals? Who has time for goals? What are those? I have goals for my kids to be in bed by 9 o'clock or whatever. That's my goal. And so it's like, I haven't had a chance to even think about goals. I'm allowed to have them. And so it's like, you have to kind of realize that you have goals and you have the right to those goals, and that you should, take the time to hit them. And so it's having the goals, understanding the right mindset, and why it's been so much, more of a difficult thing even lately than it was back in the 50s or even 20 years ago, whatever, with everything that's going on. And moms are wearing so many hats. And then understanding what values you truly have and what those values are going to get you. So if you have, success, let's say, as a top value, and you're like really wanting maybe love and connection with your kids as your top value, you really need to evaluate that and say, this is what you're going to have in your life if you have success as the top value, which nothing's bad or good, they're bad about any of them. It's just whatever you want for your life. And so just evaluating that and trying to really prioritize your day and your life on what values you have. And is it as important to empty the dishwasher or fold the clothes? Or is it more important that day I got to get some time with my kids? How are you going to sleep better at night? With which one getting accomplished? And then it's really getting to understanding how the importance of creating healthy habits, having gratitude, scheduling tips, that kind of stuff. And so they have a more well-rounded understanding of where they want to go. The moms are really the beacon of light, the lighthouses in a family. And if the moms are hurting, the family's hurting. That's just the bottom line. It is what it is. And so that's why I really want moms to take a breath and to focus on themselves. And that's what I usually get is I don't have the time. And I'm like, if you don't have, 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, if you don't have an hour or two a week, we're really all struggling. And you're not doing your kids any favors. You get home after a long day of work and you're snapping at kids because all of a sudden you're having to come up with a whole other level of energy after you're exhausted from your day. And now you're snapping at kids, you're snapping at your husband, whatever. Everybody is suffering. And you go home, to bed and you're exhausted, but you're also sad because you're like, I didn't do that well. I thought this was going to be a lot easier than it is. I wanted to be a better mom than this. And it's keeping you up at night. But what you need to understand is you can't go the next day and say, I'll just love my kids harder, because you have to love you harder. You have to have the self-love and self-care for you first, because your kids will never have it for themselves. And of course, that's what we want as parents. We want our kids to have the self-esteem and love and self-care. But if you only show them what it looks like to be a good parent, they'll be a good parent maybe, but they aren't going to be good to themselves first. And you have to be good to yourselves to show them what that looks like. And so that's what I get. And I try to refocus moms on the importance of, you can't keep giving from an empty cup. You can't keep like white knuckling it, if you will, like, oh, I'll just get through this one sickness. I'll get through this. Oh, it's back to school. I'll get through this one holiday. You keep lying to yourself, and you have to really understand that you're doing more damage than good the longer you ignore it. And you really need to start focusing on it today before your kids get in a lot of trouble when they're teens and beyond, and they go to suicide, drugs, and everything else.
Exactly. And that's how we pass these issues down generationally from us to our daughters, and then so on and so forth further down the road. So, Tiffiny, what would be one tip that our audience members who are watching this, they could take away and implement and start seeing changes in their life? What would you recommend would be the most important thing for them to do?
I would say, first off, realize that you're important and you're valuable, and you can't keep ignoring yourself as a mom. And if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your kids. They deserve the best mom they can get, and the mom you want to be, the mom you always were planning to be before it got so hard and so exhausting. So first off, know you're worth it. Second, take time every day, whether it's 10 minutes in the evening, to journal or write something that you're grateful for. As soon as my girls were able to write, about 6.5 or 7, I started having to do a gratitude journal where they have to write every night what they were grateful for that day. And some days they had a really hard day and they struggle with it. And I say, those are the days it's most important to find it, to take the time to find it. Because once you realize what you're grateful for, sometimes it gets a little easier about all the things you didn't get done or the things that you don't have, because you can't have that pain and gratitude at the same time. So I would say get into a habit of doing that. And then just start having some type of self-care, even if it's 10 minutes earlier, you get up in the morning and you just take a breath, you take a nice warm shower, you have 10 minutes or 20 minutes into the night, you get in a nice, relaxing bath. Start somewhere, but know it has to happen now. You can't just keep putting it off till tomorrow. Time goes way too fast. They grow up way too fast. Do it for your kids if you're not going to do it for yourself, and you're worth it. I mean, that's the main thing, is the time is now and you're worth it.
Tiffiny, I know that in these kind of situations where you're kind of stuck in a routine that you have to start, and as soon as you start the day, next thing you know, it's nighttime, and then the process repeats itself. Having that little bit of extra support community is important. So how can people connect with you and find out more about what you do or seek support from you?
Absolutely. So if you have any questions, if you want to just set up a call to, kind of talk more about some thoughts, get maybe a general plan together of what kind of goals you can start setting and where you could start, just to understand that, there is a better way. You can reach me at girlmomfamilycoaching@gmail. So you can shoot an email. We can set up some kind of a session so we can chat. I actually have an ebook that I've written as well that you can reach out to that email and I can send that to you. It's the top 10 tips for how moms can get themselves on their own to-do list. I'd love to send that to you as well. Just some place to really start. And also I have a Facebook group, Girl Mom Family Coaching. So you can look that up. And I really just want to start with moms knowing that they're not alone and they have support and they have a community out there that we can really support each other and be there for each other, because I think there's too much competition with moms. It's the breastfeeding mom versus the formula mom. It's the working mom versus the at-home mom. And it's not about competition. It's about loving and supporting each other. And so we can have a great world and a great future for our kids that we desperately do want.
Right. That's a powerful message. Thank you so much for what you do. I'm going to make sure that I put the links to everything that you just mentioned in the description box. Moms, one of the very important things to do is to teach our kids that they're not alone, that they have a way of always seeking and reaching out for help. And there's a community out there willing and happy to help. So definitely go ahead and check out Tiffany's information, join her community, ask for help, offer help also in these communities as well. It's very important for us to thrive together as a community. So please go ahead and do so. Tiffiny, thank you so much for taking the time being part of this. And for our audience members, if you haven't already done so, make sure you click subscribe and join the channel so that you'll get notified of the latest experts that we have, along with the gifts. Tiffiny had some really important tips as well as gifts that she has included in the description box. So make sure that you check all of those out and you get notified of the future ones as well. Any final words, Tiffiny, before we finish?
I'd just like to thank you again. You've been such a great support and you're such a pillar of the community and getting such an important message out. So I really appreciate what you stand for and what you do as well, and for having me on today. And moms, you know, we have to get support from our friends, from the dads. They really want to support us. They really want to, and they might not do it exactly perfect like you do, but they want to serve you. They want to serve their family and they want to do everything they can. So ask for help. And whether it's, you know, through someone like me, through your, you know, your friends, through your spouse, ask for help. There's a better way. It's there and you're worth it.
Beautifully said. Awesome. Thank you, Tiffiny. See you guys around. Cheers.
Thanks.